right mind thinks a human being needs to be tied up, beaten up every 15 minutes. There's this myth that human trafficking does not happen in South Africa. I grew up in Woodstock at the District 6, in a family of, I could say about 5, my grandmother and grandfather and my dad. I went to Chapel Primary School. And I was a very happy child all the time until we got removed during the apartheid. I had the opportunity to meet my mom also at that time, just going from 8 to 9, that year basically. And she was living in Kailicha. She had her own life, she had her own family. And she, it was just, I'm the child from my brother's side, of her brother's side. So I was not her child, but I was. But because she had a happy home already, she didn't want to ruin that. The most dramatic thing that happened to me being introduced to the community was guys from the community. They were gang guys, and back then they just would call themselves, ifoli, guys that does follies, like rape a young girl. And that's how I got gang raped by the guys in Kailicha Site C. It was not even far. It was like a street up my house in a shack. I didn't waste my time. I think the following morning, I packed a few of my stuff and just left and joined the rest of the streets. And I started getting known by a shelter called Onsplek Shelter. At 18, the shelter would tell you, like, it's time for you to go. There's no space for you. During the process, there was a girl that used to come to our corner and rock up with a nice car and everything and act all nice with us. So that happened like for a couple of months, her coming on a regular basis. And I thought, wow, this, new friendship and it's good, it's happening. And I remember just saying to listen, like, I'd like to come through to Johannesburg. And she said, cool. And then she gave me a number there where I can call her. The following day, I took the train, got to Johannesburg, very excited to see my friends. She drove me all the way to Yeovil. And walking into the place, the house itself and the freshness of the floor made me feel like my life is about to change. And then when she led me into a room, it was empty. From there, she said she was going to get me some food. And that was the last time I heard her voice or see her face. And when that happened, I just took a sleep because it's been a long journey. In that sleep, the first thing I felt was this massive kick in my stomach. Not even a couple of minutes in it, clients started coming in. Because of the drug itself went so deep and the ecstasy they gave me went so deep, men could just do whatever they like and my body would not have the strength to resist. And clients came in like every hour or every 30 minutes on a daily basis. I just remember being kicked out of the house in the middle of the night, exchanged with a younger girl. And I said I need to get to the next, truck stop and get a client and continue to feed the drug and be a prostitute. And that's how I went to Hillbrow, and that's how I joined the rest of the girls. And that went on for years around the country, from one pimp to another, one brothel to another. From the age of 18 till 26, I got pregnant. I got pregnant with my baby girl called Summer. My madam let me work until 6 months and saw the hump, and she was like, okay, well, this is not part of business. We don't bring babies here. when she just said that it was forced abortion immediately after that. And that was the moment where I felt probably the deepest death scar in my soul. So I just remember after abortion, 3 hours later, I was asked to take sponges and put up in my vagina so the blood of the abortion doesn't reach the customer. And I remember saying, no, I'm not going to take a client, Coco. And just within 2 minutes, I got beaten up. But then I made it. The hospital was shocked. People that worked around the hospital were shocked. One girl that was like always next to my bed, she was very young. She was dressed in some nun clothes, one of those church people that go to hospitals and just pray for people. And when she found out my file was like, it was a prostitute that was brought in. She went out of her way to get me to rehab for a year. After 1 year, I went back to the streets, even when that happened. I remember taking my last drop of drugs, and that was going to be back home, Cape Town. Through the whole time, I got pregnant with my son that I have right now, 8 years old. The relationship between my mom had to be a must now. It didn't work out well because the first 2 years she didn't like the fact that I find discipline in my life. And because she went through her struggles, she was drinking very badly. And she needed money all the time, even when my son was around there. So I had to leave my son with her for at least about 2 or 3 years. My health started breaking out. The sessions of your STD kicking in and you becoming smelly, wetting the bed, boils and of HIVs kicking in. So I had to work on that now. And then I started exposing myself to come out, to go to workshops, to go to clinics, and taking my ARVs for the first time, which was so depressing. So then I came to Embrace Dignity, and the first person I met was Nozizwa Routledge.
My relationship with Griselda started about 2 years ago when she walked into our offices at Embrace Dignity. So Griselda for me is a shining example. Griselda for me is a shining example. She is an example to women out there that we meet in the streets who think that the world has forgotten them.
And she just asked me, what do you want to do with your life now that you're out? And the first thing popped up was writing my book. And she said, oh, okay. If that's all you want to do, then we're here to support you. Then the book got launched. And I made sure that I invite everybody that hurt my feelings to the launch. And I invited quite a lot of people that is not very far from the girl that also trafficked me, because they already knew that I'm out there doing my work. Where I am with my family right now, we are still in Kailicha, the same community. But now when I walk down that street, it's nice to see a 11-year-old girl and say, I saw you on TV and thank you so much. And having information at their doors. My book right now has been bought by young people. And that's the best. That's like a dream come true. So where I am, it's a great change. I am writing my second book on how I am surviving as a survivor. Because the first book is just of what it was all about. And now the second book is who I am and where I'm going and all the amazing things that I've been doing and changing. If we as women could come together on that level and understanding towards each other would be the greatest strength for us as women. And for me, that is strength. Women coming together and understanding and respecting each other.